famous Butch and Bob Show.
World famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup. Big Dog Catcher Radio. Bob, how you doing this morning?
I'm here.
You're here.
Still upset. Won't get over it till
you
about
won't
a week.
Get over it, Bob. No, we will
the
never get over it.
The more I read, the more I hear, the more upset I get. So it's frustrating.
Yeah. We're very upset. Can you imagine Florida State? We're really upset. They're really, really, really upset.
They got shafted too. So
yeah,
it is what
the
it
two
is.
teams got shafted, but there's only 4 slots. So what do you do, Bob? You got to move on.
Shoot the committee.
Shoot the committee.
That's what I do. Blow it up.
Yes, sir. Let's not advocate violence on the show, okay, Bob?
Okay.
All right, we got a guest in this morning. Who do we have, Bob?
We got the high school wrestling coach, Darius Williamson, in the studio. Appreciate you coming in, Coach. Just want to talk about the wrestling programs underway. I know you had a big meet at the high school a couple weeks ago. Got a big tri-meet today down at Glen Academy. So what's a tri-meet? Does that mean 3 teams? Who's on the hand besides us and Glen?
Yep, so when it's a tri-dual meet, you got 3 teams. You got the hosted team and 2 visiting teams coming to compete in a wrestling duels there.
So how many weight classes are there in high school? Where's this? What's the lowest and what's the highest? How far does it go up?
So there are 14 weight classes. It ranges from smallest of 106 going up to heavyweight 285.
285?
Yeah, 285 for the big boys, big man.
All right, now the 285, is that the max weight or is that?
Yes, it is. So
You can't weigh more than 285.
That's correct.
Okay.
With how they did it back then was that they used to use one of those scales where you kind of step on. You got the little dial that you kind of move it from there. If it's and it shows exactly at that, then that's it. Now we moved on to digital scales where now you have to be 285.0. So you can't even be 0.1 on the scale or otherwise you're ineligible for the weight class.
So no cattle scales have to come in because you cut it off at 285 then, right?
Correct. That's
Okay.
right.
Do they make them weigh in right before the match?
They do. So
both coaches know it's legit. So.
Yep. So the process is that you got your officials that shows up to do the official weigh-in. Once the athlete steps on the scale, they'll weigh in, and then they'll go exactly to that weight there. It's okay for an athlete to weigh under the weight class, but once they step over, that's when they're not allowed to wrestle at that weight class. Just to kind of throw in an example here, if I have a 144, he weighs in 144.5, then he would be ineligible for weight class 144, but he can bump up to weight class 150 to wrestle. Okay. So it's not eliminating them entirely from the meet, but it does make them eligible for that weight class.
So you can bump up and not bump down.
Correct.
Kind of like in our region. If we wanted to bump up and play against Glen Academy and go in Brunswick, we could, but we still want to stay in.
Correct.
4A. So
yeah.
The same way competition there with those weight classifications.
Yeah, which is why wrestling is such a disciplined sport because not only the practices are hard, but also as athletes you got to make sure you're being responsible for your weight class. Got to make sure you're eating the right things. That's not gonna hurt you at the end and things like that there. So nutrition is definitely something it's very pivotal for our sport, so that way they can not only perform well but also make their weight class and things.
Not too many cheese burgers and candy bars, right?
Yeah, not too many of them. Not too many.
And we've got a varsity boys and girls wrestling team. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how many kids we get involved in both?
So I have over 25 for the boys. And for the girls, I have 6. Right now, we got one of our young ladies who's highlighting our girls program, Ariana Remy. She just came off with a really big win from a tournament, placed first place out in the Queen of the Nest tournament out in Jeff Davis High School this past weekend. And also we got Veda Bowen, who's doing really well. She just got a second place finish there, and she's a first-year wrestler. So she's really caught on to the sport very quickly, fast learner. We got other few young ladies who's also getting into the sport there, Emma Ham and Riley Jill Martin. So right now we got our girls really doing well with the sport, especially how inexperienced that most of them are. So the goal is.
Veda just came from the girls softball field.
Oh yeah, so especially with Veda, she just came back from playing softball with the girls, getting a second place finish in the state tournament, and then she was able to transition to wrestling. She's doing a great job at it, so I'm really happy that she decided to jump on board with wrestling this year.
Where are the matches at? I know they had the one at the high school gym, but where do y'all have the meets at normally? What's that gym that you go to?
Yep. So it used to be at our wrestling gym that we call the hot box because it gets hot.
And where is that located at?
It's behind the board office.
Board of Education, the old Martha Rawls Middle School there.
Yep,
the
that's
Board
right.
of Education office where the wrestling gym is at.
Yep. So this year we were able to get all of our home matches moved into the actual high school, which is great because it gives us a chance to be able to kind of display our school. I mean, the gym looks great. So it allows us to be a great host to other fans, other parents, other teams, and the more that we're competing there, the more that we could try to get more people to come to the meets, and then and when we call it the hot box with the other gym, it gets really hot.
Benny Ratliff Arena's where y'all have it for the home matches.
Yep. So which was at
what
the high
about
school.
Your practices?
Our practices are we're kind of all over the place with the practices since we don't have a permanent designated practice room yet. At times we'll practice in the school cafeteria. The custodians there do a great job clearing the tables and stuff out for us, so that we'll be able to get practice going. And then after that, reciprocate the favor by putting the table back things there. Mm-hmm. So most of the times we've been practicing in the cafeteria. Other times we've practiced at Martha Puckett. One time, and then we'll go to the wrestling gym and practice there when the middle school wrestling team has an away meet, so to be able to use the gym from there.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to Wayne County, your wrestling background. I see you get your Iowa Hawkeye stuff on there.
Go Hawkeyes.
Did you wrestle at Iowa?
So I didn't wrestle at University of Iowa. I wrestled collegiately at William Penn University, which is in Iowa.
I got you.
So just a little bit about myself. Born and raised South Carolina. Graduated from Dorman High School there. I was a county champ, region finalist, state qualifier there back in 2008.
Wow.
Ended up getting a wrestling scholarship to go to William Penn University, which is in Oskaloosa, Iowa, and then competed there for 5 years. And it definitely was a different experience wrestling in comparison of Southeast wrestling to Midwest wrestling, since Iowa is kind of the pinnacle of wrestling, football and wrestling there.
Now, where in South Carolina was your high school compared to what big town?
All right, so my high school is in Spartanburg, South Carolina. If you're not familiar with that, we're about an hour, 45 to an hour northwest of Columbia.
Yeah, it's the Spartanburg Greenville area up there.
Yep,
yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
So
All
that's where my high school was at.
And you mentioned scholarships. I mean, this is the sport where scholarships are available at the next level. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Wrestling is growing very, very fast, especially in the collegiate level. It seems like so far during the 2023 year, I've seen that over 100 universities and colleges is either opening up men's and women's wrestling the next season, or they open it up this season. So more scholarships are getting out there for wrestling. It doesn't get talked about a lot, but it is out there. And my goal is, if kids want to really compete at that next level, I'm going to do everything I can to be able to try to get them there.
Just joining us again, the high school wrestling coach, Darius Williamson's in. I know you got several people to help you. I know Ron Twilley down here at Hurricanes is one of your helpers. Who else helping with the wrestling program?
All right, so we got Coach Duncan, who's playing as an assistant wrestling coach as well, and he helps us out very, 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 very well with being able to get other teams. So let's say that we have two teams going to different competitions, just like this weekend. We got the varsity boys going to FM County and the varsity girls and JV going to Cook High School. He helps us out a lot with making sure we got coaches in the corner there. So we got Coach Duncan, Coach Richards, also on the staff there. Coach Twilley, as you mentioned, helping us out a lot with mainly with the varsity and the JV athletes during practices, and Coach Lott as well. So we got most of the returning staff that we had last year on board with the wrestling team.
What kind of skills does a person have to have in order to be a very competitive wrestler?
Well, wrestling is a complex sport, so so I could go on
have
about
strength,
that.
agility, mental preparedness. What I mean, it's like there's so much that has to go into that.
It does, and and that's kind of the disadvantage we have right now is, with this being such a very young program that most teams they have that years of experience of kids constantly getting the repetitions of it. Athleticism plays a role to kind of helping them understanding the skills. It's very kinesthetic with the skills as far as being able to drop levels. You think about the football 3-point stance, how low you got to have a center of gravity from there. That's kind of how wrestling is, except that we're not in the 3-point stance. We're more on a base as far as feet positioning, being able to move quickly, being able to change from one position to another at the swift of the moment, agility. Then that's kind of where the agility comes into place there as far as footwork goes. Strength, I would say probably about 15% of the game as far as, when you're tying up with your opponents. But other than that, main thing is just make sure you're getting a lot of reps with understanding the takedown of the rules of the sport.
Well, for a person that goes to a wrestling match for the first time, they don't know diddly squat of what's going on out there. So these two people just, going at each other. How's it scored? How do they win?
Well, the scoring is just as complex as the sport. Yep. So
enlighten us, Coach.
so I'm gonna do my best to give you the short version.
Okay.
As far as scoring goes, you look at the official wrestlers, it's 2-1 wrestler to official ratio on the mat. You're going to be holding up hand signals. When holding up signals of two, just the two with no other motion. You see the different band colors between red and green. Hold up the 2 for a takedown. So if you get control of your opponent when you take them down to the mat, you get 2 points from it. All right. If you're able to get away from them and they lose full control of your back on your feet, you get 1 point escape. You got reversals, meaning that you change the position from being the person that was being controlled to now controlling your opponent. Got a reversal. You get put to your back. You get a near fall. Near fall counts is kind of vary between 2 to 4 counts, you get 2 points. You get a full 5 count, you get 3 points from there. That's kind of the gist of the scoring.
Holy moly! How does a person keep up with all that score? I mean, how do they do that? You can't keep up with that addition in your head.
Oh yeah, so that's why I have managers. I got 3 managers on my team, and they've taken the summer and sometime during the season as well to really learn how the scoring works. When we had our first black and gold wrestle-off competition about a month ago, the managers were able to pick up on hand signals from the referees. I give them kind of like a cheat sheet that shows what the referee would do, kind of in a stationary kind of motion from there, so that way they can be able to write down quickly, and they just have to have a sense of urgency. They're doing a really good job at seeing what's going on in the match and writing out. So a lot of multitasking is happening.
That's a lot more complicated than putting them on their back and holding their shoulders down for the 3 count like we're used to in wrestling. 1,
that's
2,
right.
3.
Yeah. So
you won, Hulk.
Yeah, it's when most people think about wrestling, especially since there's some history with it, they're gonna think about what they saw in the WWF.
Yeah, the WWF, WWE, all the rest, all those out there. Yeah,
kind of thinking about you just kind of powerbomb somebody, or you take a chair and bash somebody in the head. And things. I will never teach an athlete to do. That's an easy way to get disqualified. Very easy.
I was gonna play "Are You Ready to Rumble" when you came on the air this morning, but I didn't get a chance to get it recorded down.
Oh yeah.
Are you ready to rumble? We got Coach Darius Williamson in with us this morning. But it's a lot. It's different. But I've got my best friend, one of his sons, competed in wrestling up in Carolina, and did very well with it for the 4 years he was in high school. And so I had a chance to kind of keep up with it through him. And it's a very, very difficult sport.
Oh yeah, it's I've done a lot of sports growing up in my life, and I will still say today that wrestling is the hardest, the most difficult sport you can ever do. It's just so much you have to do. It's constantly ongoing. It's almost like you're running a sprint for 2 minutes straight. You know, when you think about track, you run a 100-meter dash, you're probably going to run it between 10 to 15 seconds. With wrestling, you run at full speed for a full 2 minutes.
So it goes for 2 minutes. Each match goes for 2 minutes.
So each period.
Each period.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's kind of like how boxing, they have rounds. With wrestling, they have periods. You got 3 periods in a match. Each period is 2 minutes long. In some dual settings, you'll see a 2-1-1, which means 2 minutes first period, 1 minute second, and 1 minute third, which usually you see that on the consolation side of the bracket. But championship sides, it's 2 minutes, all 3 periods. Unless a pinfall happens, then, you know, with both shoulder blades onto the mat at that moment, referee calls it, wins the match by pin. You also got a tech fall, which is basically a mercy rule. The most points you could get ahead of your opponent is 15 or more, and once then, the referee will call a technical fall, which is that mercy rule, and you'll be able to win from
mercy.
there. Oh, yeah, it's the mercy.
Mercy. Give me some mercy.
Yeah, we have a mercy rule here. And then you got a major decision, which is winning between 8 to 14 points, and then a regular decision win, which is from 1 all the way up to 7 points.
Now, when you go into a match, is your scoring done by all the members on your team, and that determines who wins the match? How does that all that work? How does a team win a match?
All right, so how a dual team gets a victory is based on between how many decisions, major decisions, tech falls, and pins happen that each team receives. So just to kind of go back to our first home meet when we wrestled Savannah Country Day, we ended up winning 76-6. Or 78-6, excuse me.
My word, universal rule there.
Oh yeah, and from there, what we did was which is why it's very important to have a full roster, because each weight class, if you don't have anybody to fulfill that weight class, but the other team does, they pick up a forfeit. And a forfeit, this is the same value as a pin, which is 16 points.
Oh, okay.
So with a forfeit, pin, or a disqualification, that's 16 points that a team gets. And then you got 14 weight class that goes from there. So at the end, so once you get to that last match, then you tell the scores, and that's how you decide who wins and loses.
How many weight classes?
There's 14 weight classes.
14
yep.
weight
and then
classes?
That's right. And then you got your pinfall for 6. You got your tech fall, which is worth 15 points. Your major decision is worth 14 points. And a regular decision is worth 13 points.
Now, what about this tri-match we're going to be doing today over at Glen Academy? How does that scoring go? How do you win that?
So the exact same thing. We'll put all of our 14 wrestlers in. Each one wrestles one at a time, and then just tally ups with whoever gets the most team points based off of the victory of margin.
Are you like the football coaches? Do you walk the halls to find prospective wrestlers?
I typically do that. With me coaching for quite some time, you could kind of look at a kid and just kind of determine if they have that wrestling demeanor in them, and you just pull them in. You
what demeanor is that, Coach?
One thing is the toughness, not so much of, I'm a big back buff,
buff, but
yeah, but more so of you have that focused mindset of that determination of trying to get something, have that sense of urgency. Okay. And typically for me, when I look at the hallways, I'm looking for those kids that are constantly doing the right thing in the hallways. So that way there's no worries about any kind of behavior liability behind it and things like that there. I'm looking for those kids who have that sense of urgency, who just ready to go, ready to take care of business, rather it's academically or getting from point A to point B. And then other than that, they have that athletic physique. Then, and at that point, kind of talk to them about wrestling and, get them on board, invite them to our preseason workouts, and just kind of see if they can be able to handle the physical stress of what's to come with the sport. And if they can handle that, and typically I say, if you can survive 2 weeks of wrestling practice, you can finish that season, because you will know for sure if wrestling's for you or not.
Okay. Bob?
We're not really in a region. We're in an area. Is that correct?
So so typically between 1A, 2A, and 3A, they have areas. Since we're 4A, we have region. In our region, we have same thing like football. We have New Hampstead, BC, Burke County, and Islands. We would have Southeast Bullock, but they do not have a wrestling team currently.
So we're all in a region then. Is there a region like championship, things like that? Or?
Yep, there is. So we have two different ones. The first one, which is the dual championships that we're going to be hosting sometime in January. I believe it's January 13th we're hosting it. And from there, this is kind of like the dual setting I was talking about, where we have a team score, and then the team that has the most team points at the end of the duel will be declared the team that wins and will move on into the tournament. And so right now, kind of based off of our progress and the other team's progress, we're probably sitting at a second place in the region, just because both BC and our team wrestled at the same dual tournament this past weekend, and BC actually placed in that tournament.
And BC pays for the wrestlers too? I thought it was just football.
Oh no, they got a few tough wrestlers.
Sure
probably they definitely got some tough wrestlers in some different weight classes. So right now for us, we're trying to figure out a strategy on getting all of our wrestlers in the right weight class at the right time, and hoping to start peaking by the time we hit January, so that way we can be able to compete against BC when that time comes, and and hopefully take the crown this year.
I know you don't want to, but you got anybody special this year on your team? Somebody that you're looking to really shine this year?
So right now, looking at our sophomores this year, one young man I really want to call out is Grover Mixel. He weighs between 125, 126, but he's actually bumped up to 132. So he's wrestling under a weight class, and he's been doing really well with it so far. Can't remember his record off the top of my head, but he's won us quite a handful of matches. Probably the biggest one that he's highlighted right now was getting second place in our first tournament of this season. Had a good win against the powerhouse Richmond Hill, which is a really good really tough wrestling team. He was able to get a win against one of their wrestlers at 132 with that 6 pound disadvantage. So he's really been getting things going for us this year. Another wrestler, Mikey Favaza, he's doing really well. He's wrestling at 126 there, picking up a lot of pinfalls for us this year. Weight class 120, Jaden Lee, last year as a freshman, he was the 106 region champion. So right now he's trying to get his weight classes figured out between 113 and 120, but he's doing really well right now. And then one of our leaders, Taylor Townsend, really getting the team hyped up, getting the team going with practice. Having that leadership in our practice room to get wrestlers on board and on the same page with trying to get better every single day.
And when's your next home match, in case somebody's listening and saying, I'd like to see what it's all about?
Oh, yeah, of course. Our next home meet is going to be on December 12th, so that'll be next Tuesday. We're going to be hosting Montgomery County and Jenkins High School. So we got a tri-meet coming up next Tuesday.
Okay, next meet next Tuesday. And what time do y'all begin there?
So our wrestling will start at 5:30. We got weigh-ins happening at 4:30, but the whistle blows at 5:30 start time. So if anybody wants to come, I'll definitely invite you to come there. These wrestling matches get intense. They get very exciting. I try to get as many people to come there just because the best way to learn the sport of wrestling is to be there. It's one thing for me to say it, but you want to be there right when that action is happening to see how exciting the wrestling matches are.
That's what I've been trying to get Bob with soccer to get out there and start learning it so he can get excited about it. He has no interest. But it starts at 5. Is there any charge to get into the match, to the meets there?
Yep, there is. So we use GoFans, which is an app that you can download on your phone, and you just got to find Wayne County High School, and it'll show a list of all of our athletic events. So you just have to find December 12th, and you'll find our home meet.
You got to use GoFan?
What's that?
You got to use GoFan to get in?
Yep. So we try. So since post-COVID, I guess I call it, we keeping things more electronic, so that way we kind of keeping the cooties away from everybody and keeping everybody safe from there. But usually we use GoFans to go ahead and get tickets, online tickets from there, and it's a very easy app to use, very easy to navigate. So yeah, we'll have start time at 5:30 and put on a show for y'all and get you excited for some Wayne County wrestling.
Okay. Bob, anything else for the coach this morning?
I appreciate you coming in. Nice to meet you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate doing this.
All right, take care. All right, just a couple things I want to go over, Bob. We'll see you next time, Coach. Good luck with the wrestling program this year.
All right, thank you.
All right. Got something I need to read from Scriven here, Bob, and then I want to talk about Trevor Lawrence. All right.
Okay.
Something Dan Patrick said yesterday on the air. All right.
Okay.
This is a word from the city of Scriven. Listen up. They got some problems going on in Scriven. Let's hear all about it. Here we go. A word from the wise from the city of Scriven. This is from them now. This is their words. If we catch anyone destructing, relocating, or interfering with any of our lights and decorations at Christmas in the park, Grace Community Park, we will absolutely do our best to prosecute the individual to the fullest, no matter the age or the who. I'm sure this is just kids being kids. However, you may want to have a conversation with your just kids. If they are allowed to roam Scriven streets, and remind them of messing with these or anything that doesn't belong to them, that is not being just kids. Also remind them to smile big for the cameras when they perform these acts. The last warning. So that's right. It's a shame that we live in a society today that even in a small community, small city like Scriven, has to have cameras to look at the Christmas decorations, because you've got folks that are messing up the Christmas decorations. Boy, Bob.
Must be the Grinch.
Must be the Grinch. It's the Grinch. Go get him. He's high on that mountain.
Lock him up.
Lock up the Grinch. They're messing up Christmas decorations. I mean, geez.
That's sad.
Yes, sirree. So they're letting it slide right now, but the next time, there's cameras everywhere. And so next time it happens, they said they are going to prosecute no matter the who or the age. So no messing up the Christmas decorations in Scriven anymore, okay? I just can't believe, anybody would do that no matter what their age is. What else? Yesterday morning we were talking about Trevor Lawrence, or Monday morning, one of them.
It was Tuesday. He got hurt Monday night football.
Monday night. Okay, so it was yesterday. We were talking about Trevor Lawrence, and you were talking about where was the cart?
Where's the cart?
Why didn't they cart him off?
Exactly.
Why didn't they cart him off? Why is he having to hobble all the way across the field, down in the tunnel,
in severe pain?
In severe. I mean, he wasn't
just. I could
just
see the pain in his face.
You can see the pain in his face. So I'm listening to Dan Patrick yesterday, and he says, "Where's the cart?" He says, "Where's the cart? Why aren't they carting him off? What about a side-by-side? Why did they put him in side-by-side? The coach, Doug Peterson, should have put him on his back and carried him off the field." This Dan Patrick saying all this, and I'm thinking, this is just what Bob Morgan said this morning.
Great minds think alike.
No, it was just so funny. Here he is. You got carts out there. You got side-by-sides. Big coaches out there could carry him off on their back, and here he is. Aggravating that high ankle sprain by having to walk all the way across the field, down the tunnel, into the locker room.
I mean, the joke was they can afford a pool, but they can't afford a cart. I mean, it's your franchise quarter. Well, the pool's pretty hot. So.
It is hot.
Yeah, I like the pool.
I love the pool.
I'm not against the pool, but I'm just saying, this is your franchise quarterback. You got to get it.
I mean,
luckily it's a high. I'm just glad it's just. I thought it was a lot serious. More. I thought he tore something. I mean, he was down in pain.
You've had sprained ankles like I have. It hurts.
Sometimes a sprain's worse than a break, though. But Doug Peterson was asked yesterday what the timetable was. They said that they're not really putting a timetable, but he probably won't be able to play Sunday. So hopefully, like I said, Jaguars having a great season, but he's your franchise quarterback.
I can't believe they lost Monday night. I really can't.
They're not winning with C.J. Beathard.
No. So, all right, Bob. Anything else on your mind this morning?
I think that'll do it.
Okay, all right. World famous Butch and Bob show here on WIFO 105.5 FM, and it's brought to you by First Southern Bank, Van's Barbecue, Murphy Builder Supply, and O'Quinn & Associates.